is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Emily Dickinson. There are few living creatures as ever-present, colorful, and intriguing as birds. Through their sheer diversity alone, they serve as a natural link to our environment, connecting us to exotic lands far removed from our own. Since 1911, the southwest corner of Liberty Park has housed a broad variety of different animals. In 1938, after the transfer of the zoo to more suitable grounds, Liberty Park became the home of the Tracy Aviary, the oldest freestanding aviary in the United States.
This has kind of been a community hidden treasure. For years, we have been a little bit off the map.
Tracy Aviary's history is, it really starts with a story about the zoo. This site was the home to Salt Lake's first zoo from 1911 to 1935. And then the Hogels gave their land and they literally marched the elephant from this location up the street to Hogel Zoo. And this area of Liberty Park sat vacant from 1935 to 1938.
The aviary has been around since 1938. It was created as a donation from a local banker named Russell Lord Tracy, and he had a private collection of birds.
He had something like 200 birds in his backyard, and the neighbors weren't real psyched about that. If you've ever heard a peacock, they're quite loud. And so you can imagine having 200 birds in the backyard might be a little disruptive. And so Russell Lord Tracy struck a deal with Salt Lake City, and he moved his bird collection from his backyard to their empty cages here in Liberty Park. And thus was born Tracy Aviary in 1938. In addition to providing these birds, Russell Lord Tracy also recruited a fantastic curator, superintendent, Calvin Wilson, who was the first superintendent here.
For 37 years, Calvin D. Wilson served as curator for the aviary. During his time, several remarkable new developments occurred, and several species of birds were bred in captivity for the first time.
And things were really fantastic for the first many years, up until 1975. By that time, Wilson was older and decided to retire, and Russell Lord Tracy had died.
Poor management, meager funding, and widespread structural deterioration caused much concern for the Tracy Aviary.
So in 1976, we merged management with the zoo, and that did not go very well according to William Bailey's Utah Birds.
Struggling to stay afloat, the aviary was left to die a slow death.
And it starts with a story in 1976 when we merged with the zoo. We just didn't get a fair share of the money for capital improvements. And things must have been going so poorly that in 1983, Mayor Ted Wilson led a takeover to bring the aviary under the city's leadership instead of the merged management with Hogel Zoo. And he was kind of successful. He ended up with the aviary in 1983, but Salt Lake City really didn't know what to do with an aviary.
So it was operated by the city for many years, and it was largely neglected.
The infrastructure problems that we had in the past made doing the work of the aviculturist pretty difficult. We had a lot of drains that didn't work, places where we didn't have running water and we had to bucket water in, lots of gates that didn't work or enclosures that didn't have a gate at all. You had to go over the fence. Pipes that froze in the winter. So there were quite a few problems that just made taking care of the birds a lot more time-consuming than it needed to be.
In 1990, the American Zoo and Aquarium Association provided accreditation for Tracy Aviary, proving that it met their meticulously high standards in animal care and visitor satisfaction.
A group of citizens got together and formed a nonprofit organization called Friends of Tracy Aviary, and they have since overseen the management of the birds and the operations. So the city owns the property, but the nonprofit organization manages it.
The idea was that once a nonprofit was formed, the philanthropic community would rush out to give us money to help with capital improvements, and we'd have fantastic visitor numbers and admission membership, generate all sorts of money to pay for salaries and bird food and new exhibits, and that didn't quite happen.
In 1994, Tracy Aviary became a fully independent institution. Their operating budget came as the result of the combined efforts of the Salt Lake City Corporation, the Zoo Arts and Parks Fund of Salt Lake County, and the overall generosity of individuals, corporations, and foundations. In 2005, the Aviary began efforts to renovate and transform its landscape and exhibits.
In 2006, we were denied accreditation by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
The infrastructure was basically falling apart. A lot of our exhibits weren't up to zoo standards.
And that was because we had not invested in the capital structures. The exhibits were outdated. They didn't meet the modern zoo philosophy or practices.
In 2006, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums removed the aviary's status and accreditation. This loss served as a wake-up call for the community to upgrade the aviary.
For 30 years, we hadn't invested in the capital infrastructure. So basically, from 2006, dating back to 1976, we had not done enough to modernize this facility. And that was a real wake-up call to the community. We asked Salt Lake City leaders and Salt Lake County leaders if they wanted to have an aviary or not. And Tracy Aviary is the largest and oldest freestanding public aviary in the country. The answer to that question was a resounding yes, we do want an aviary. And so the next question was, well, do you want an aviary that you're proud of or one that you're embarrassed about? And the response there was, of course, we want one that we're proud of. And so the response to that is, show me the money. We need money to improve this facility.
We requested a bond from Salt Lake County to help us regain our accreditation. Make the improvements that needed to be made so that our birds would have top quality care and in facilities that followed professional standards. And so it was important for us to get that bond to be able to do that.
And Salt Lake City responded positively. Salt Lake County really responded positively.
In November of 2008, voters in Salt Lake County approved a $19.6 million bond.
We raised $1.5 million in private funds so that we would have enough money to fix a lot of the aging infrastructure and build some new buildings and new exhibits so that we can better reach capacity to serve the community of the greater Salt Lake area.
I'm from Salt Lake City, and I've been in the nonprofit sector for about 20 years. And I started as an environmental educator with the Utah Society for Environmental Education. And then this job became available, and it's a dream job for me. It combines both conservation and education. It's a great Salt Lake City asset, and just a fantastic opportunity for me to give back to a community that I really believe in. And as executive director, I have my hands in a lot of pots. I work with the board, I work with the staff, I serve as our spokesperson to the community at large.
I'll put us right over here, right up like that. What do you think, Phoenix? All right.
We try and get support from community foundations, community members, individuals, and get people here so they can experience what Tracy Aviary is. And once we get people here, we have wonderful supporters.
And that has fueled a capital improvement renovation here that is just outstanding. We've, in the last several years, we've literally put in millions and millions of dollars.
We have a great marketing team, so we're out there, we have a lot more visibility, and we're being recognized with better donations.
I've got deep roots here, and my kids hopefully will grow up and live here, so this seemed just like a great place to invest some energy.
These massive renovation efforts radically transformed both the physical landscapes and the exhibits at Tracy Aviary. With funding renewed and a master plan established, the aviary reinvented their Sandhill Crane exhibit, added to the Destination of Argentina exhibit, and created the Kennecott Wetland Immersion Experience, the Amazon Adventure,
The birds are going to fly down and land on your arm and eat the apple from your fingers.
Try eating the apple rather than me, please.
Yeah, they'll get jealous.
Here's one, look, Zoe. Oh.
the Southern Ground Hornbill exhibit, the South American Pavilion, and the Owl Forest.
Our bird care was never part of the reason that we needed the bond.
Our birds get excellent care, and I mean, they get probably better medical attention than most children. They are monitored on a daily basis, their weight, and they get immunizations yearly. So it's an intensive process and very expensive to do. So the bond really helped us provide a place to do that. We have a lot more bird holding and places to keep birds, and they follow along AZA accredited standards.
I help provide vision to the organization, and that includes what we do with our landscape, what we do with our bird exhibits, our education programs.
Really close. Sit nice and still, exactly. So this is salt and pepper, white-faced whistling duck, and aren't they pretty? You want to take a seat for us, bud?
Our plant collections policy has several main focuses. The first one is creating habitats that replicate where the birds came from. Our landscapes create a place that is comfortable and relaxing. It's part of the oasis that makes people want to come to the aviary, and if they've been here, to come back. It sets the foundation for a relaxing time to look at the birds from.
We'd love it if people came here and saw some of our landscape and said, you know what, I think I should do that at home and attract lesser goldfinch or hummingbirds. That'd be a fantastic outcome for us. So we're really educational conservation at the core of it. We're trying to get people to understand how fantastic the environment is and motivate them to become good stewards.
How are you all doing? Good, I'm so glad to hear it. Well, my name is Jen, and today with me I have Cam and Arnold, who you will be meeting later, but we are from Tracy Aviary. And Tracy Aviary is a zoo, but we're a special kind of zoo. And can someone help me with what kind of animal we have at our aviary? Yes, please go ahead. We do, we only have birds.
He's a red-crested Turako. So does everybody see the mohawk on his head?
I oversee the training of our birds that come out and do our bird shows or go out into schools and do outreach, visit our camps, participate in our education programs, and also our education programs themselves. So I oversee that department.
She's super cute. But also, in addition to being adorable, Chewy is actually a really young vulture. She's only about a year old, and so she hasn't come out to visit very many students. So you guys today are actually helping Chewy to learn that she's able to go out and stay around people and that it's a safe, fun experience.
Tracy Aviary's role in education is really at the foundational basis. We're trying to introduce people to the outdoors through the world of birds.
One of the things that we've been working on building up at the moment at Tracy Aviary is a really comprehensive outreach program that's tied to Utah State core curriculum standards for all grades. Kindergarten through 5th grade is what we're concentrating on right now.
So what I want you to do is stand about 6 inches apart, and you're gonna put your arms nice and low, and I want you to do like a forklift move. Okay, so right out in front of you, and I'm gonna have to see your hands. In fact, can you take your jacket off for me? Perfect, and can you take your jacket off, and you too? If you can't, that's fine. Or if you wanna just pull your sleeves up like this. Okay, perfect, really good. All right, so really flat hands. Inca is heavier than you think she is. Yep, so go ahead and stand closer, and I want you to stand closer here, okay? Just scoot in a little bit more. Okay, arms right out front. Now hold your arms really stiff. Imagine that you are a tree, okay? So let's see how Inca feels about showing us how toucans might hop through the rainforest. Now, Inca is a really smart bird. So whenever Inca decides to do something, she takes a minute or two to decide if she actually wants to do it. And give him a big hand. Thank you. You guys can take a seat.
And building programs that use birds and the natural world to kind of teach kids some of the concepts that there is on the curriculum that they should be learning in school as a way to help teachers have the ability to maybe utilize something different to get students inspired in some of the concepts that they've got to teach anyway.
My name is Cam, and who has been to our Book and Birds before? Anybody? I know some of you have. Raise your hand.
Oh my, what is that? Duck quacked. That's a silly question. Goose honked. It's a big
All of our programs that we do, whether they're on site here at the aviary or outreach in the community or in schools, involve our live birds.
Can you tell them apart? Which one do you think is salt? They're ducks, yep. I can't tell them apart. The only way that we can tell these ducks apart is by looking at their legs. They have special leg bands. One of them's black and one of them's clear. And that's how we tell salt and pepper apart.
We think they actually do the best job of teaching and inspiring of anything. We just like to be a mouthpiece for them. And one of the major goals that we have for all of our outreach programs is just to instill curiosity and appreciation for nature, using our wild birds that we have here in Utah and the birds that we have here at the aviary to kind of connect people to the natural world and hopefully inspire them to be good environmental stewards. I mean, I'm a lifelong animal person. That's how I started into this field, is I just loved animals since I was old enough to know what animals were. Probably my most rewarding thing that's happened to me in my entire career did happen at Tracy Aviary, and that involves Andean condor that is on exhibit here. His name is Andy, he's 53 years old, and he's been at the aviary since he was a year old and on exhibit. So a lot of the people that live in Salt Lake City actually know Andy. He's older than any of us, and he's been around living in Salt Lake City, as I said, for 52 years. So visitors to the aviary have seen him all that time. But he's always been in his enclosure. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I first came here was to work with Andy with the goal of bringing him outside of his enclosure and being able to take him out around the aviary. Ultimately, we'd like to get him flying in our free flight bird show. And he does that now. He does walks. We take him out every day. He'll walk around the entire aviary. We allow visitors to get up close to him, and it's been extremely rewarding to see even the change in his personality. He's much more animated, he's much more active on exhibit. The first time we ever brought him out was probably one of the most emotional moments of my life, because this 53-year-old bird would walk up to trees and, get 2 inches away from the tree trunk, and he's investigating everything. It was sort of, I imagine, like watching a child, a toddler, start to investigate the world around him for the first time. And I think I had the same feelings or experiences as what it must be like for a parent to witness that and sort of see everything anew through the eyes of a child, except it was through Andy, our condor.
We have 2 interactives at Tracy Aviary. One, the sun conure encounter, and the other, the pelican encounter. The Amazon Adventure, we have an outdoor enclosure with 19 sun conures in it who really like people and really like apples, so we give our guests pieces of apple and the birds come down and eat the apple from the guests. It's my job to help educate the guests who buy tickets for the interactives and make sure they have a really great experience. They really get to appreciate the little nuances that they have when they eat and when they speak, make noise and stuff.
Both new and old guests are in for a surprise as the sheer variety of experiences provided by the aviary evoke a constant state of intrigue and curiosity.
I feel very strongly about the role of education in our community, and I love the environment. That is something that I try to embrace on a daily basis, whether that's hiking or looking at birds outside my window or flowers. I'm absolutely in love with the environment, and I feel that this is a really important time for people to get engaged and active. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through education. If you can educate people about the environment and help them understand all the issues and complexities, maybe they will be better stewards of the environment. And that extends from personal actions, what they do in their household or in their yards, to elections or anything else. There's so many ways for us as individuals to be good stewards of the earth. And I think Tracy Aviary is a fantastic place to contribute to that effort. I like to say that we are, here at Tracy Aviary, we're the start of somebody's conservation journey. We're not the ending point. I tell people if they haven't been to the aviary lately, they just haven't seen it. They haven't been here. And that sounds kind of flippant, but it's absolutely the truth. This facility is so different than it used to be. We've physically changed probably 70% of this landscape. So it's just not what it was 5 years ago even.
Majestic, intriguing, and full of wonder, birds serve as a natural link between ourselves and nature. In the end, there are few better ways to understand the natural world than through the color of flight.